Humans are sleeping gods of war, High Strategist V. Carl sneered, claws drumming on the edge of the council desk, and yet we fear them like children hiding from thunder. The room echoed with laughter. 17 species. 17 empires. All pretending they didn't remember what Earth did the last time someone got brave. We could glass a Terran colony before they even realize we're in orbit, said Admiral Key Nor. They don't respond to diplomacy. Maybe fire will get their attention. They've grown soft, muttered another. Pacifist rhetoric. Terraforming sermons. Not a single fleet movement in over 80 cycles. Let us remind them where they came from, someone grinned. Give them reason to wake. And somewhere deep beneath a cold mountain in Earth's oldest war grid, something opened its eye. A pulse. Barely a blink, not in the sky, not on. A radar dot in the dirt, a buried signal that hadn't triggered in 1,000 years. Protocol XB. Temple breach detected. The I didn't speak. It stared, because the message that followed wasn't a cry for help. It was a question. Should we rise? The core of Earth was still dark. The citizens above still laughed and farmed and slept. But the old systems remembered what they were and who they were meant to become. Back at the Galactic Council, a transmission flickered onto the central HOLO-display. Not. Sent. Appeared. A single Terran runa circle, split by lightning, hovered in place. Silence. Then a sound. Not language, not voice. Just breathing. Slow, heavy, measured. Someone was awake. V. Carl's smile faded. What is this? A bluff? Some cultural intimidation? The breathing grew louder. Rough, ragged, like a beast stirring inside armor. Turn it off, Kenor barked. It's psychological warfare. Shut it down. We can't, a technician whispered. It's not on our network. Their room fell cold. Because now beneath the breathing there was another sound. Metal. Not clanging. UNSHEATHING. Slow, purposeful, like someone pulling a blade from beneath stone. And that was when the Admiral finally said it. We kicked the temple door. The silence that followed wasn't fear. It was realization. Because they hadn't just poked Earth, they'd reminded it of what it used to be and what it could become again. No fleet moved. No ships launched. But the galaxy already felt it. A storm was coming, and that was before Earth even responded. They thought Earth had forgotten how to wake up. But Earth doesn't forget. It waits. Far beneath the icy crust of Europa's third substation, a vault door began to hiss. Not mechanically, biologically. The steel was grown, not forged. Laced with memory metal and biosilicon coating, waiting for a single phrase to reach it through quantum sand and alert hard-coded before most of the galaxy even knew. Earth had cities. That phrase had just arrived. Temple breach. Protocol XB acknowledged. The vault split open with a sigh. Inside, lights pulsed in red, forming a ring. In the center of the room, seated like a monk carved from midnight, was something humanoid but not human anymore. No eyes. No mouth. Just armor. Ancient, fluid, etched with names long deleted from public record. It rose without sound. Not clumsy. Not heavy. Purposeful. Then it spoke. Not with lips. With memory. Are they calling us monsters again? Across the system, sleeper cells blinked to life. Not soldiers. Not even operatives. Reminders. One on Titan peeled away the skin of a civilian bunker wall to reveal the face of an eye still humming Earth's anthem at -180°C. One aboard an ancient asteroid mine smiled when her left arm reactivated, showing symbols burned into her bones, not inked. And on Earth, the sky remained quiet. Because waking gods don't roar. They breathe in. At the Galactic Council, panic was leaking through cracks in the floor. They've triggered an old war protocol. Do they know we're behind the breach? They don't need to know. They'll assume. Assume what? The Admiral answered, pale now, that we deserve what's coming. Not all the empires present had lived through the Age of Silence, the dark stretch of time after Earth stopped sending diplomats. But they'd heard stories, whispers, entire fleets gone missing, whole planets left intact. Except no one was left breathing. One empire claimed to have repelled a Terran incursion. They were now a memory. Even their name was redacted in every galactic archive. So when that rune the circle split by lightning flickered across every major net simultaneously, no one called it a bluff, not anymore. We have to prepare, said Counselor Dryle. We need defensive alignment. Forward fleets. Trade worlds locked down. What if we apologize? Someone asked. Silence. No one answered, because they knew Earth didn't come for apologies. It came for balance. Back on Earth, deep in Subterra Black 4, a vault opened under the Andes. Inside were 6 soldiers. Breathing. Alive. Unaged. Their hearts had not beaten in 300 years. Until now. Their eyes opened in perfect sync. Not in confusion. In recognition. One of them, Agent Mirth, reached into her ribcage and pulled free a fiber cube the size of a coin. She tossed it once into the air. It unfolded midair into a map, not of Earth, of revenge. 7 red dots, each marked an empire that had once taken something from humanity. Child. A city, a colony no one talks about anymore. Agent Mirth smiled. They kicked the temple door. A voice buzzed in their minds. Mechanical, but warm. Should we send a message? She shook her head. No. Let them keep guessing which god they woke up. In orbit, a civilian cargo vessel from the Polari Trade Republic drifted into Terran scanning range by accident. It never entered orbit. But it was seen. Aboard. The crew began to hallucinate. Not images. Memories. Of battles they never fought. Screams. In languages they didn't speak. A child's hand, covered in ash, gripping their boot. When they returned, their captain demanded medical help, but scans showed nothing wrong. No disease. No neural corruption. Just this anomaly. The crew believed they had survived something no one else would. On the council, comes flared again, another rune, but this time it moved, split, then reformed. Then split again. And in the center, one word, translated into every language in the known galaxy. Watching. One admiral stood. I vote immediate disengagement from Terran systems. No more scans, no more probes, seal borders. The vote passed. Unanimous. Even those who had once led raids on Earth's fringe colonies, who mocked the planet as feral and fractured, said nothing, because they had seen the mistake now. You don't kick the temple door. Not if you don't want the gods inside to remember their weapons. Somewhere, aboard an old Terran deep space beacon silent for over 90 years, an ancient AI played a recording. Not a warning, a voice. If you're hearing this, it means we're back. Or we're becoming ourselves again. Either way. A pause. Soft breathing. Don't ask us to be merciful. Because mercy wasn't built into the old gods, only memory. And humans remembered everything. The first Terran ship didn't appear on any scans. Not because it was cloaked. Not because it was hiding. Because it simply wasn't there. And then it was. One moment, the space near the Lurian drift was clear. The next, it was cast in shadow. A black mass shaped like a crucifix. Turned into a blade, orbiting nothing. Not a pulse of energy. Not a wake of arrival. No gravitational displacement. Just presence. And on the side of its hull, in scarred titanium plating, 12 symbols from Earth's dead languages. Translated by only one Council AI before the system crashed. The translation came through in a whisper, We do not warn twice. Aboard the Saurian recon vessel Whispershade, First Watcher Talek stood frozen. They hadn't engaged, hadn't transmitted. All they'd done was exist too close. And now his console was blinking one word repeating. In red, judged. What is that ship? He asked. No one answered. Identify its type, he ordered again. Still. Silence. One of the junior officers finally said, voice shaking, It has no type. What do you mean? It's not in any registry. Not from Earth, not from anywhere. It's just labeled the Sleeper. Talek stared at the display. The Sleeper didn't move, didn't open weapon ports, didn't flare engines. It just watched like it knew they were there, and didn't consider them worth the effort. He opened a private comlink. Council command, this is Whispershade. Unregistered Terran vessel detected. No aggression, but the G. Feed cut. Not jam. Rejected. The communication module blinked back a phrase. No further contact required. Behind him, one of his crew whispered, It's not threatening us. Talek didn't look back. No, he said. It's reminding. U.S. Across the galaxy, similar anomalies began popping up. In the Caloran expanse, a scout drone attempting to map abandoned Earth territory returned with distorted footage showing a city that didn't exist on any charts. Ruins arranged in a spiral. With something standing in the center. A man. Barefoot. Smiling. Holding a single phrase on a slate. Try again. In the halls of the council, paranoia became policy. Do not respond. Do not acknowledge. Contain the panic. But it was already too late. Fear had metastasized into ritual. Commanders began rewriting training manuals. Diplomats refused to say the word Earth aloud, replacing it with coded silence. Even children's star charts were revised. Terran space was no longer labeled with system coordinates. Just one word, untouchable. But even in fear, there are always fools. In the Outer Rim, the Jannari Raider fleet, infamous for attacking defenseless colonies, launched a fearless incursion into Earth-aligned space. 5 dread cruisers, 12 interceptors. Fully armed. They broadcast their intent live across the galactic net. Let the gods wake. We are unafraid. They reached the edge of the Seraph Belt. And then, one by one, their ships stopped transmitting. Not exploded. Not silenced by attack. Just paused, like someone had pressed a button and removed their relevance from time. A week. Later, their flagship returned. Not underpowered. Drifting. Inside, the crew was alive. Heartbeats strong. Breathing steady. But not one of them spoke. Not one reacted. Their eyes were open, staring at something no one else could see. One medic whispered, Their minds are still screaming. Inside one's clenched fist, they found a carved piece of metal. Earth steel, etched with one phrase. You asked to wake us, and now you don't know what to do. Back on Earth, Elias Grant stood within the core's black chamber. Around him, data poured across translucent sheets. Updates from awakened AI hubs. Patrol echoes, tactical non-dash responses. He watched it all. Unmoved, because none of this was unexpected. Status of the Sleeper? He asked. The AI known as Echo answered. Holding position. 3 Council surveillance ships observed. 2 retreated. 1 remains. Has it transmitted? No. Then it still thinks it can understand us. He turned from the chamber and walked to the old room, the one with the stars. It wasn't a war map. It was a memorial. Each light represented a human colony lost before Earth stopped asking the galaxy for help. Before they sealed the old gods away. And now? The stars were glowing brighter. Not for revenge, for recognition, because Earth had finally remembered its own name. Back aboard Whispershade, Talek's screen flashed one final time. This time, a visual. Sleeper's hull shimmered and opened, not into weapons, into a doorway, and within it, nothing, just black. Endless, alive, pulsing black. It wasn't empty. It was waiting. Talek closed the channel. Stand down, he ordered. Power off all systems. Let them forget we ever looked. But we're not under threat. He looked around the bridge. Then said the truest thing he'd ever spoken. No, we're under judgment. The stars hadn't dimmed. The galaxy was still spinning. And yet, everything felt colder now. Across all council-controlled space, broadcasts slowed. Travel decreased. Military exercises were postponed. Behind closed doors, the Empire scrambled not to fight Earth, but to understand it. But there was nothing left to understand because Earth hadn't sent a threat. They hadn't sent a fleet. They had sent a reminder. Back in Terran orbit, the sleeper had vanished. No warp trail. No beacon. It simply folded backward into space as if reality peeled open for just a moment to let it step out. Some believed it returned to Earth. Others swore it never came from there to begin with. And in every fleet archive, a new word was added to the Terran entry, dormant by choice. In the galactic core, the Council had reconvened for a final session. Not to retaliate. To survive. We don't issue threats, Chancellor Vikarl said, his voice brittle. We simply agree. Not to provoke. This isn't fear, another counselor whispered. No, Vikarl replied. It's awareness. They didn't use Earth's name anymore. They called it the threshold, because no one could step near it without feeling the air change, without the stars turning slightly toward them, without hearing faintly, impossibly footsteps. Behind their ships. And still, no response. Not a single Terran word. Until one day, a single message appeared. No header. No coordinates. Just a phrase. We were never sleeping. We were waiting to see if you'd learn. It spread like a fire through every network. Some tried to delete it. Others tried to deny it. But it always came back. You couldn't silence a war god that was awake now, because they weren't coming for blood. They were judging character. Back on Earth, Elias Grant walked alone through a desert that wasn't mapped on any planetary chart. The sky above was blank. The sand below was black. And in the center of it all stood a monument, a single obelisk. Polished and seamless. It bore no name. No language. Just wait. He didn't need to activate it. It already knew, and after a long silence, it spoke not in words, but in finality. The galaxy remembers pain. We remember purpose. He placed his hand against the surface. The Council will retreat. Yes. Will they return? Yes. Will they survive it? That is up to them. Far from Earth, in the shadow of the Seraph Nebula, 3 scout ships from the Ilarian frontier disappeared during a classified recon sweep. Their last recording? A single Terran symbol, drawn in blood on their own viewing screens. The footage was corrupted. The crew never found. But the symbol lingered in every frame, flickering like a heartbeat, a closed hand. Not raised in war. Just ready. Even the pirate clan stopped entering. Terran space. Not from law, but from stories. One spoke of a black freighter with no crew, powered by nothing but a voice that whispered, "We're watching what you do with peace." Another claimed that ships near Earth's old colonies heard ancient drums, rhythmic, primal, like something buried under the surface was calling back to the stars. And when one war-hungry empire launched a final test, run a stealth drone into Earth's outer layer, it didn't come back. But a different one did. Not theirs. Older. Dust covered. Made from Terran alloys not seen in 500 years. And inside, a note, handwritten, "Don't send another." It wasn't a threat. It was a kindness, because Earth could end them, but chose not to. That terrified the galaxy more than war ever could. In the Council's final classified session, Admiral Connor stood before the map of Terran space and said, "They're not like us. We grow, we conquer, we forget." He tapped the map once. "They grow, they wait, and they remember everything. They sleep under stars they design themselves," one counselor muttered. "No," Connor said, "they don't sleep. They meditate." And we just knocked. Back on Earth, Grant sat at the edge of the world. No camera crews. No medals. Just quiet. The core had gone still. The requital hadn't moved. The sleeper hadn't returned. And for the first time in generations, Earth was known. Not explained. Not labeled. Known. He lit a flame. Not symbolic. Just warmth. Then closed his eyes, and somewhere across the black, a child in a distant system woke from a dream. A dream of cities made from light, of soldiers wrapped in silence, of a voice that said, "Be kind, or be remembered." That child had never heard of Earth. But the dream stayed with them forever, because when gods walk slowly, you remember every footprint.